Hello everybody, Michał Jawinski here from ST Studio. Today I want to show you something that I've worked on lately, and it's directly related to the Google Material Design 2.0 and Adobe After Effects. When I saw Material Design for the first time in Sketch, I was pretty amazed about capabilities of Material Design theming, and all that components are really well prepared for editing and theming. And I was wondering how much of those functionalities I am able to transfer into After Effects. I thought that it would be awesome if I could make changes that will affect my group of components when I'm making an interface animation. And my normal workflow as an interaction designer involves to experiment a lot. And for me, the best tool for testing interaction ideas is obviously After Effects. So I decided to try to make an animated components library for After Effects that can be adapted to projects during the design process. Normally I start designing in Sketch. I like the idea of symbols because they really speed up the designing flow. But unfortunately, components prepared as a symbol doesn't really work well with After Effects. And to export fully functional vector layers, I'm using Sketch plugin named Sketch to AE. And it's working really well with layers, but not with symbols. So every time when I had a design with material design components and I wanted to add some motion in After Effects, I had to deconstruct every symbol one by one to layers and then export it to AE. And it was really time consuming, so having the components already in After Effects was the real advantage for me, and I hope it will serve you as well. Okay, so let's jump into After Effects and see what we can do with these ready-made components. We'll be creating a simple app view which will contain a visual list of 5 cards with photos. System bar of course and the top bar. One of the cards will have two interactions, expanding and adding to favorites. There will be also a bottom navigation bar, but it will be static. Having these components already in After Effects will save me time because symbols which have another symbols inside are hard to export. And notice that in every symbol there are very often another symbols, so it pretty much looks like never-ending story. Alright, let's get back to After Effects, and first of all I will duplicate my current version of the project to keep the original library. Now we need a new folder for our components. This is for organizational purpose only. In this folder we'll keep all of duplicated compositions. Okay, we need a couple of these cards. All of the cards that I've already prepared are in the cards folder. And let's duplicate the correct one for now and then drag it to our folder that we've just created. Renaming the card will help us to recognize cards on the timeline later. And yeah, here in Sketch we can see that there are 5 cards, but one of them will be animated, so we need 4 static cards, and every component needs to be a different composition as we will have different content inside. Okay, so let's duplicate the composition 4 times. In presets folder we'll find animated elements. We need 2, one for adding to favorites and one for drop-down interaction. This will be our first interaction. We'll show what's inside the card, then we'll collapse it. Let's duplicate this comp to our folder and then rename it. Our second interaction will be adding to favorites. This is a simple swipe from left to right with a primary color animation in the background. Okay, so again, duplicate the comp, rename it, and put it in the new interaction folder. We have our key components, and now we can collect the rest of the elements so our view will look one-to-one as the project in Sketch. So we need bottom navigation bar, clone it, and throw it again to the new folder. Two components left, system bar and the top navigation. First, we'll take care of top navigation. All of the elements are grouped in the folders, but you can also use search as the names are compatible with Google Material Naming. And here it is. Clone it and rename it as previous. Okay, now let's check the size of our artboard in Sketch. It's 360 width but by 1564 height. Let's create the same comp size in After Effects. And 60 frames per second will give us smooth motion. And let's name this composition main scene. And as you can see, it's pretty long, but don't worry, we'll crop it later. The last component we need is a system bar. We don't need it to duplicate it as it won't be changed inside the composition. Okay, it's time to put all of the components on the scene. And let's start with those which will be as the top layers on the timeline. And its top bar and bottom navigation. Those components will cover the cards as they will be scrolled. Let's hide the second interaction comp for now. Now when we have the components on the screen, let's move it to its place. System and the top bar goes to the top, obviously, and there shouldn't be any space between those two components, so let's stick it together. Of course, we can change the content of the elements. For example, we can add some copy to this top bar and also manipulate the icons. We only need two icons in our top bar, so let's hide those two others and edit the one on the right. Here we want to have a search icon. We can simply find it by typing search in the search input here. Put the icon on the timeline, and we don't need this share icon, so let's get rid of it. Okay, top part of the view is ready. So now let's do the main content, which is a card list. We have to distribute the layers along the work area first. First card goes to the top and the last one to the bottom. And we can see that the gaps between the cards are too big, so we can adjust the spacing a little bit. Uh, okay, this looks fine. Now we'll fix the comp length by freezing its first frame. We need it to be on the timeline for a little bit longer. And since this component is static, we don't have to edit it inside, and simple freeze frame will do the job. Okay, this one is the interactive card. Let's link it and the rest of the cards to the null control so we can imitate the scrolling effect. And also let's change the name of the null. Actually, we don't need that card to be linked yet. Sorry, my bad. Our interactive composition must start from the certain point after scroll. So we need to time remap the beginning of the animation. Okay, we'll set the start point somewhere over here, 2.5 seconds, okay? Now we will set the start of the scrolling by making a keyframe here. And the end of the scroll will be here for now. Okay, one more thing. We need a background, so let's create a shape and name it, let's say BG. Move it to the back and set the color to white. Okay, draw a rectangle and set its size to 360 width by 640 height. And this is the screen size for Android phones. Now we need to adjust the background on the position 0, 0 so it will fit the work area. The bottom edge of the BG is the end of the screen and is a spot for a bottom navigation, so let's move it there. Our animated card does not interact with the rest of the cards, so we have to fix that. But actually, first we need to add a drop shadow, just to separate the card edges from the background. And we'll do that at least for now. We don't have the photos inside the cards, so we'll have to see the edges. Okay, and let's make it slightly visible as it is in the real component. And then copy the effect the all cards. Okay, now we get back to the animation. First, let's easy ease the scroll effect so it won't look so linear. We can also make a whole flow more dynamic by setting the start point of the interaction somewhere over here, closer to the end keyframe of scroll. Okay, the scroll still looks weird, so let's crank up the animation, easing a little bit. Okay, this looks better. Alright, so far we have the scroll and the drop-down animation, but we need to fix the behavior of the cards that are close to the interactive one. They cannot overlap each other. We have to set the keyframes at the exact same frame when our interaction starts. The movement should end when the card animation ends. So let's check that up. Let's check where the card animation ends, at what frame. We can see that the animation took 13 frames, so the slide card's animation should be the same. We have the frames, so let's add some easing to the animation. Now we have to find the first frame of the ending interaction, so our card can go to the same spot during the card will be collapsing. Reverse the motion by copying correct frames and give them the same easing. %80 out and 40% in. Remember that both movements should start from exact same keyframes in order to have a smooth animation. We can tweak the animations here, and especially fade out here, so our text won't go outside the border of the moving card. Fitting the keyframes is very important, so our animations will start at the same time. And as I said before, this actually determines the fluency of our interaction. So let's make it good. Alright, so far so good, so let's add a second interaction. And second animated composition has to be at the same position as the drop-down composition. We have to fit the cards manually, so there won't be any movement glitches. Okay, so for now our flow is complete on the basic level, and now we can fill the components with text and photos. Keep in mind that our interactions are two different compositions, and we have to edit their texts separately. And first we'll change the copy in the first animation. Okay, now I will show you how to add photos to the components. I don't recommend exporting images from Sketch in particular sizes. Instead, let's use the original assets. Place the photo and mask it with layer that is already in composition. As you can see, all of the cards have image from the same source, but don't worry, we can fix it quickly with masking. I almost forgot to change the copy inside the second interaction, so let's do this now. Transition looks okay now. And we can change images for every card individually. We'll use photo composition as a mask. Now we can apply the same method for every card. The same goes for the third card, and we need to add another photo. Okay, it's time to pre-compose all of those components to a single view, so we can crop it easily. Now let's change the current work area size to the 360 by 640. We have to reposition the scene so it will fit the new view. Actually, you can type into position half of the old values, which are 180 and 782. Okay, nice. We have our simple flow. Scroll and two interactions, one after another. And the best part of this process is that you can change the colors for all your components with just a couple of clicks. Notice that if you change the primary color here, the two other swatches of this particular color will also change. And these subcolors are also in use inside the different components in this project. And the final result of that approach looks like this. And having those components inside AE should really speed up the whole process of creating interaction ideas as animations. I hope that for those who want to experiment with Google Material, this will be a very useful library to start with. Remember that this project is still under the development, so there will be more components in the future, and I am experimenting with them currently and will be updating this library as often as I can. And thank you for watching this. And for more information and updates, visit aematerial.com. Bye.